Hi everyone, I'm Rita Peterson with Everything Homemade, and this video you guys have been waiting and waiting since I announced I was pregnant. Well, please meet Meadow Sky Peterson. Meadow Sky Peterson was born on September 25th, 2018 at 4:45 a.m. in the morning. She weighed 9 pounds, 4 ounces at birth and was 19.5 inches long. She is happy, healthy, and strong, and she is such a blessing to our family. Let me tell you, a very tiring labor, as it was in the middle of the night, but also a quick labor and delivery. So you guys probably want to hear some details, exactly how the labor and delivery went. Basically, I went into labor, I would say about 8:30 that evening. So on September 24th, right, in the evening at 8:30. And the week prior to that, every single evening I would get more and more contractions in the evening. Not during the day. Everything would die down by 7 a.m. in the morning. No more contractions. Nothing. And so it was interesting that always around the evening time, the contractions, what I call practice contractions, came on harder and harder. So I had a sneaky suspicion that I would have a baby in the evening, or early morning, and which is really hard for me because I am seriously not a night owl. By 9 o'clock, I am fully done as I had such a busy day. So the week prior, I had such a hard time. I mean, my belly started here and came out, and my sides here and here would just get so sore. So if I went to bed at like 8:30, I couldn't go to bed past 2 a.m. because I would be so incredibly tired. And I mean, I would be tired, but I'd be so much in pain because I didn't have any sides to sleep on. I couldn't sleep on my back because the pressure of being pregnant pushes on your spine, and it just created a recipe for disaster. So we sent the rest of my kids to bed. I have 5 other ones, 11 and under, and I basically, to take my mind off the practice contractions, the pain, the swelling in my leg, the being just tired, I would just sit down and watch a movie with my husband for about an hour and a half. We would never fully finish a movie, but at least it just time together, and a time just something to take my mind off of things until I'm so tired that I could sleep at least till 4 in the morning. So it was about 8:30. I went to the washroom before we sat up for a movie, and I noticed there was a slight pink, and so I had a sneaky suspicion that I was going to lose my mucus plug and probably go into labor that night. By 30 minutes, I mean, by the time my husband made a little bit of popcorn and everything got settled down with the cats and everything else, by 9 o'clock, I was I was bleeding. So right then I knew, I told my husband, I go, no, no movie night tonight. I seriously need to go to sleep because the contractions are getting a bit harder. If I can sleep a bit through early labor until the contractions get way too strong and I can't sleep and breathe through them, then I will get back up. But if I can get about 3 hours sleep, it's better than nothing. And he did the same thing. We shut everything down, put everything away, and he ended up actually sleeping on the couch because he was sick the 3 days prior and he was snoring quite a bit. We had this cold whip through the house, and I was trying to make sure I didn't catch it, but out of just making sure that I could sleep and not listen to him snore, he just crashed on the couch. And so I went upstairs to sleep, and he stayed on the couch, and I basically woke up every 10-15 minutes through a contraction, breathed, and kind of went to sleep like you're sleeping through it. And this is my 6th child, so I know the pain that's going to happen, so I could still breathe through it while I'm lying down, while I'm sort of sleeping in a restful and peaceful way. Well, by midnight, forget it. I was like, I cannot lay here through it. It's way too painful. I have to get up. I have to breathe so heavy. So I said, to myself, I ate supper at 6. I've had nothing to eat. It's midnight, so that's 6 hours. If things progress the way that I am pretty sure they are, then we're going to have a baby before 6 a.m. and I cannot go through labor. Labor, you guys, is like putting a week worth of work into so many hours. I mean, you work so hard. You need the energy. So I went downstairs. My husband is sleeping on the couch. I went downstairs, turned on the kitchen light, got 2 pieces of bread, and I just so happened to make fresh bread the previous morning. Cut 2 pieces of bread, took 2 slices of cheese, put them on top, fried up 3 eggs, put them on, ate it, because I knew if I didn't eat something going into labor with an empty stomach is a recipe for disaster. Drank a whole bunch of water, make sure you're hydrated. Then I actually went back to lay down, going through the contractions, knew that it wasn't quite right time. By 1:30 in the morning, they were unbearable. So I came downstairs, shook my husband on the couch, said, "Hun, it's time." He got up, packed everything. Basically, I'm kind of leaning up against one of the chairs in the living room because there's no more. I can't stand still. I have to hold on to something. The contractions are way too much, and they were about 5 minutes apart at that time. So I'm 45 minutes from the hospital at 5 minutes apart with the contractions. So my husband's packing food. He's arranged the van so I can have somewhat of a comfortable drive, as much as labor can be comfortable. And basically, he's basically asking me anything else, and I'm basically calling out, need this, need that, couple last minute things, and he just went and did it. So it's 2 o'clock. So it took us 30 minutes to just pack everything, get out of the house. At 2 o'clock, as he's driving, he gets his phone rigged up with the van, so he calls my parents. It took about like 3 tries to wake up my parents, to tell them, hey, you know what, we're heading to the hospital, you need to come and be with the kids. So they did a switch. My kids had no idea. Of course they're sleeping, right? So my husband also phones his parents, which are 8 hours away, and just to notify them that what things are happening. So we get to the hospital. It's about 3 o'clock when we arrive at the hospital, and it was a blessing because nobody was in emergency. It was amazing because usually the hospital is so full you can't even find parking, and it was like totally clear. I could not believe how many free parking spaces there were. So we got to park right up close to the emergency doors. By then, my contractions are now 2 minutes apart. So I basically, by the time I get myself out of the van, I had another contraction. Then by the time I crisscrossed the sidewalk, in the middle of the road, I couldn't move because I had another contraction getting into, and by the time, I mean, the ladies at the desk for the emergency, they knew already why I was in. Booked in really, really quick and went up to triage. So at triage, they book you in. They also have to check how far dilated you are because they want to know if they need to call the doctor or if this is something else. I mean, they heard me all the way down the hall because, I mean, they're between 2 minutes or less apart now. And so anyway, by the time I get to the hospital, I'm 7 centimeters dilated. Of course, they called the doctor. Basically, by 4:45, the baby was born. So things went really, really quickly. And it was a blessing that there wasn't really anybody else there. It was a very quiet evening at the hospital. The nurses were really, really cooperative because I refused vitamin K shot. I refused any kind of shots, any erythromycin. Erythromycin is the drops they put in the baby's eyes. I refused them. I basically refused any kind of needle. They were really good about it this time, as if you heard about my first labor and delivery in the hospital, I will link that video right up in the corner here. You can listen to what happened. I am very allergic to oxytocin. Oxytocin is the drip that they give you to get the contractions going. They also give you that shot in your upper thigh to get the placenta born more quickly. So the doctor actually really made sure the nurses did not give me any of that the placenta was born naturally, no shots were given, so I had no allergic reaction. I took no medication, no drugs for pain. Everything was 100% natural. And let me tell you, she was born 9 pounds 4 ounces. So she was a big baby, and that's what exhausted me most. I mean, you go through the labor, and just pushing her out was absolutely exhausting. I remember, you know, after I pushed her out, I basically fell. I fell backwards, and she was laying on my chest because the protocol now in the hospitals here in Alberta, Canada, anyway, is that when the baby's born, the baby gets put on the mom's chest and does not get taken away. And that changed when Orion was born, my first child. They took my baby away right away to do measurements and this and that. And now they put metal on me. Although I was so exhausted, like I couldn't even lift my arms. I was just wiped right out. And it felt like an eternity, but I mean, it was only probably about 15 minutes because I kind of glared up at the clock. It was 5 o'clock, so it was about 10, 15 minutes after she was born. I put my arms around her and I asked my husband, I'm like, what did we have? Boy? Girl? He's like, another girl! And I missed that because even though our doctor was talking to my husband and everything, I was just so out of it that I couldn't even think. I just was so exhausted. So I took a look at her and you know, tried to cradle her. Anyway, after a little bit, got myself up and started to feed her, and she latched on really quickly, really fast. She's an awesome drinker, so I had no problems there. And basically stayed in that room for about 2 hours, and then they moved me into a more recovery room. And after they did that, I mean, we talked to the doctor. It's my 6th child. Really, they want everyone to stay 24 hours. I said, I want to go home. Basically signed some papers, filled out papers for her to get registered in Alberta, and I went home by 11 o'clock. Since I put myself in the hospital, I can take myself out of the hospital. And I mean, everything was good. She's healthy. She's happy. I was in, you know, besides being in pain from normal childbirth, everything went well. We got home by noon. I basically, the kids looked at Meadow, welcomed her, and I went straight upstairs to bed with her and lie down. And it was a very good thing my parents were here. My parents really took everything over for the next 3 days. I mean, they made breakfast, lunch, and supper. They took care of all the farm animals. They took care of all the kitty clients. And there were 17 cats in the house at the time, and they took care of everything. I basically concentrated on getting myself healed up, and I was in pain. My afterbirth contractions are so severe that I can't even think of anything else besides breathing through the contractions. So going through that and having my parents here and having not to worry about meals, having not to worry about the animals being fed, the kids, were taken care of, the cats were taken care of, everyone was taken care of, was a huge deal, and it really sped up my recovery. Now, going back to the afterbirth contractions, I don't take anything for the afterbirth contractions, even though they're so severe that I feel like popping like 100 Tylenol. Because I know that even though they say Tylenol is safe for breastfeeding, I don't believe a single word when they say that's safe. It goes into me. I totally believe it goes into baby. And I am not about to poison my newborn with that. So for me, it's a very personal choice that I just basically breathe through them in constant pain. I mean, the first night, I woke up at 3 in the morning and I broke. I broke down. I went to the washroom. I mean, you're all swelled up, so it's hard to use the washroom. I tore a bit, never got stitches because the tearing was not a continuous bleed, which is a blessing because I hate stitching. So it just healed up naturally. But I mean, I pushed the 9-4 baby out and everything's swollen. Everything is just in a mess down below, and you have your afterbirth contractions. You're just trying to use the bathroom, and that's painful enough. And then the afterbirth contractions whip through you. They're basically in some ways worse than the labor itself. And I just broke. I remember leaning over the sink, and Meadow is sleeping upstairs. And I just cried. And there's nothing my husband can do, nothing anyone can do. And it's like I want to escape. I want to run from my own body, but I can't. And so for the next 4 days, that's basically what it is. It's every time I feed, every time she latches on, every time I try to go to sleep, every 2 to 3 minutes, these heavy contractions go through, day and night. And I sent out some texts. There's a couple of people that wanted to come. I said, just wait till this is all done because I am in no mood for visiting. And by about 5 days later, then it dies down. I'm walking better. I'm getting around better. And my parents end up leaving about 4 days later. And John's parents end up coming up from Calgary, which is about 8 hours from here. And they stayed with us for a week. And so they helped us butcher one of the goats. We butchered some of the ducks, a couple of turkeys, a goose. So they helped with that. And sometimes I was helping my husband with that. And sometimes my mother-in-law was actually helping with that, balancing Meadow as she was up. So that was really, really awesome. A lot of help. I mean, that's how everything happened. We are very, very happy that she is healthy, happy, and strong. God has blessed us with another wonderful child. Sorry if I'm yawning. I am a bit exhausted also. I mean, waking up every 3 to 4 hours in the evening overnight is a bit hard, especially when during the day you're doing homeschooling and everybody expects everything to still be the same. So, and you can see also a lot of cats behind me. It's Thanksgiving, so there's actually 28 cats in the house, and this is Cheese that keeps walking by me. And things are really, really busy, but I'm also very thankful to God that I am getting back into routine. So we're getting back into schooling. Try to figure out that with a newborn. The next thing we're going to do is start milking. I got to start figuring out how to milk in the morning with trying to balance a newborn child. And one step at a time, we're getting back to the new normal routine of the house and get back to YouTube more, get back to some things that really had to take a break from, to start incorporating one thing at a time back into the routine. And I just want to really thank you to all my subscribers to being really patient. This year, you know what, I started this year not knowing what would happen, thinking, oh, we can do this and we can do that, and then the pregnancy really took a toll on my body. And I thank you for everyone who's stuck with me, who's been patient with me as this pregnancy progressed, and now that she is born. I hope you enjoy the pictures, and again, I look forward to making more videos here as we get our schedule back up in order. Thanks everyone, and if you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving, and everybody, God bless, and I will see you on the next video.